Hi, my name's Peggy, and I am so glad that you decided to click on that Get Started button. I am really excited to share with you the concept that I'm using to live my best retirement. And I'm hopeful and I'm hoping that it also helps you as well. So, what I'm going to do today is first give a very short version of the concept I'm using, and then I'll go into a little bit more detail for those of you that are interested. So what is this concept? The short story is that after 35 years of working for a major oil company as an executive, I decided to treat this retirement as the most important project I have ever managed in my life. Because I really believe it is. It's the last chance, our last chapter to do all the things that we wanted to do. So this concept includes a vision, it includes goals, and it includes action plans. And, frankly, that is the key. It is treating this like it's the most important project, because it is. So what about the vision statement? The vision statement are the very first things you got to ask yourself are, how do I want to be remembered? Tough questions, but what are the things that are most important to me? What are things that I've always wanted to do, but I couldn't do it? And so on and so forth. And I have a tool in the website that'll help you kind of think through what is my vision? What would a successful retirement look like to me? And so for me, I have my vision and you're going to have your vision as well. And each one of them is going to be different and unique, but that's the beauty of this concept. It can work with whatever your priorities or whatever your vision is for your successful or your best retirement. So after you've decided what your vision is, the second thing is deciding, okay, now I've got my vision. I know what I want, a successful retirement to look like. What are my goals? How can I set up some achievable goals for a year and annual goals to head towards this vision I have for a successful retirement? The goals focus on the most important resource, which is your time. So, and the way the high level version works is that you look at your time as 100% of my time, and how am I going to spend that time? What percent am I going to spend on each major category? And then you can break it out and get as detailed as you want with specific goals and so forth. But at the minimum, start with how am I going to spend my time this year, in a calendar year, to meet that vision I have for a successful retirement. So, for example, mine, and I'm going to give you a quick example so that you can understand what I'm talking about. About 35% of my time is on foundational elements. Okay, so what am I talking about by foundational elements? And yours are going to be pretty similar. It might be a different number. You might be more efficient than I am, or whatever the case may be. But your foundational elements will definitely take time. Do not forget to include those. Here's an example. Your fitness. That's a foundational element. You got to be fit to do the things that we want to do. Nutrition. You're going to have to eat right. You're going to have to cook. Or even go out to eat. They all take time. Nutrition, fitness, health, going to doctor's appointments, things like that. And then administrative elements, things like paying the bills, those types of things that don't go away when you're retired. And then finally, something I had forgotten to include were things like appearance. I was still going to have to get my hair done or cut, for men. You still have to wake up every morning, wash your face, take a shower, whatever the case, and it takes time. It doesn't go away when you retire. I sort of forgot about that whole piece of it and, was able to modify in the second year and so forth, but I don't want you to make the same mistake. So again, I spend 35% of my time on those foundational elements. For me, the next thing is I spend 10, or my goal is to spend 10% of my time on making a difference, volunteering, and doing different works around that area. That brings me to 45% with my foundational elements, my 10% for my making a difference. Then I want to travel about 15% of the time, which is about 8 weeks a year. Okay. Some people will want to spend 50% of their time traveling. I have a girlfriend that literally travels 100% of her time. She sold everything, her house, her car. They bought a sailboat and they sail. So they're literally traveling 100% of their time. That's the beauty of this concept, is you can change it for whatever works for you. So for me, 15% of my time on travel, about 8 weeks a year, I like to be home. I'm a homebody. I like to, spend time in my home, at my home base. And then for me, again, another 35% is on all the other fun stuff. And I call that literally all the other fun stuff that you want to do, adventures, things like that. And you can see the details and things like that, but everybody's is going to be different. And then the very last piece is something, again, I didn't include when I first started out, was miscellaneous, 5%. Because that miscellaneous, there's things that come up that are unexpected, and you don't want to set yourself up for failure. So for me, it was things like somebody got sick. I wanted to go spend time with them. It wasn't part of my plan, but that's what I wanted to do. Or a baby came and I wanted to go spend time with the baby, or etc., etc. Things happen that you have to spend time on, that again, hopefully you can minimize it to, or keep it to 5 or 10%. But again, you may want to have everything be miscellaneous. I mean, just free flowing it. So that is the actual goals. Now, again, you can be more specific and more detailed, and I do have a link that shows an example of the high level time goals and then also the more detail. Finally, and again, I'm still on the Reader's Digest version, is the action plans. Because you can have a vision, you can have goals, but if you don't break it down to what am I doing today to try to live my best retirement, to achieve that vision, I can assure you it will get delayed. It will get, just like any project, it will get delayed. It will not get done, because we tend to put off things that are going to require a little bit more work. It's easier to go putter somewhere or than to focus on something that you have to research or whatever the case may be. So I always set aside time every day for one of the key things that I have to get done, my foundational elements, and I actually have an action plan, annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, daily, weekly. So again, there's another attachment if you'd like to use it. It's an example of a weekly plan. And that's basically it. That is the Reader's Digest version. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually look at some of the tools that I provided and go into more detail. If you're not interested in that, you can certainly click off and start going around the website and seeing some of the other information, experiences that I've had in living this retirement. Or please let us know what you're doing and your successes in the Let's Talk tab. So that's it. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to take a closer look and dive into some details on the 3 different tools that I've provided in the Get Started tab. So if you go to the Get Started tab right here, you'll see that there are 3 documents at the bottom here. One is the vision statement, the second is the annual goals, and the third is the action list. So this first one, let's take a look at the vision statement. Just click on it and okay, so here is the vision statement live in retirement tool. And as you'll see here, it's broken up into 3 areas. The first is things to ask yourself when writing your vision. The next is just a little section where you can actually write your vision statement. You'll probably need some more paper, but it gives you the concept anyway. And then finally, an example of a vision statement. But what I want you to do is I would like you to look at these questions and answer them, and then still not write your vision statement, but think about them overnight, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, see if there's anything else you want to add to the answers, and then go ahead and write your vision statement. It is so important that you write the vision statement because this is where you're going to be heading. This is the direction you're going to put everything else, all your efforts towards, is this vision statement. So take the time with it, but don't get so muddled up that you don't write it either, because it can be changed. I mean, once you set it down, you can certainly change and modify as you go along. So take the time, but don't get stuck either. So what are some of the questions you should ask yourself? I'm not going to go through each one of them, but what are the most important things to me? What have I always wanted to do? For example, for me, what have I always wanted to do? I always wanted to be in the entertainment business. Well, it's a little late for me, but there's some things I can do that get close to that. And you'll see that later. And then, here are some of the other questions. What would I like to be known for? How do I want to be remembered? What do I want to be said at my funeral? When am I the happiest? Think about the things when are you the happiest? So, and the really important thing is be honest with yourself. Don't write something down. Don't put a vision down that you think other people want you to do. Be honest. This is what I want to do. This is something I'm interested in. This is my vision for the best retirement. Don't put down something that you think society would think is important, or somebody in your family would think is important. This is your vision, your last chapter. And as I say, if you're not going to try it now, if you're not going to do it now, when are you? So, and write something down and get started. So this is the first step, is writing the vision statement. So let's look at an example of the Live in Retirement vision statement. Everybody's is going to be different, but this is just an example where you would start the words out, my overall, just like you did here with where it says write your vision statement. You start with the words, my overall life's mission is to, and I'm going to fill in the blanks here, live a healthy, active, mentally alert, financially independent life so that I can enjoy and build great relationships with my family and friends and have kind interactions with others. Seek out fun experiences and adventures. Make a difference both locally and nationally in the areas that impact my family and friends, and obtain positive recognition for my actions. So that's one vision statement, and like I said, nobody's will be the same. So next up is the goals. So these are all the things that we're going to be doing that'll be heading towards the direction or the vision for your best retirement. Okay, so first up is the high-level goals that you've established for the time, your time. You're 100%, you've got 100% of time, and how do I want to break that up? Where do I want to put my time and effort? You have your foundational elements, and we talked about this earlier, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but why is it important? It's important to do this because I found that I was getting very frustrated because I didn't have enough. I felt like, wow, I just don't have time to do the things I'm trying to do. Where is my time going? And so it's important to really step back and look at, where are you spending your time? Where do you want to spend your time? And, as you do this, and I'm going to show you an example of what my before and after was, is you can really identify areas that, hey, I want to spend more time in this area, or I want to spend less time in this area. And you can learn by looking at, where are you spending your time? And do I want to be spending my time, my most valuable resource, in that area? So it's important to look at this from a high level perspective. And I really want you to focus on that. I mean, if you don't do anything else after this, at least do this. So, okay, so the assumptions. Let's look at the assumptions here for a minute. This is something that helped me, and hopefully it'll help you, is that, how many hours do I have in a day? Well, 7 days a week. If we look at 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, we have 168 hours available. Well, clearly, I sleep 8 hours. So the only thing I took out was sleep. So if you sleep less, then take out less hours. But the active hours available are 112. That's if you sleep 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So everything that I'm doing is based on this 112 hours. So if I do 10% administrative, that means I'm spending about 11 hours a week on average, not every single week, but on average, on administrative. And the same thing with making a difference. I'm spending about 11 hours making a difference, okay? And it's 52 weeks per year. So for travel, I like to look at travel as weeks versus hours. So if I've got 52 weeks and I want to spend 15% of my time, that's about 8 weeks, okay? And so on and so forth. So this is helpful to when you're thinking about it. So let's move to the vision. I've put this down here so that when I'm writing my goals, I can, keep focused on the vision. Well, you'll notice here that one of my number one top things is to enjoy and build on relationships with family, friends, and have kind interactions with others. But where is that in my time? How come I don't have a category for that, family and friends? And the reason is, and again, if you want to, you can, because again, it's this flexible. But the reason I don't have it is because literally family and friends goes through every single one of these categories. It goes through, and I could tell you, it even goes through fitness, because I much prefer to do fitness with friends or family. Nutrition, eating out, eating with friends, eating with family. I rarely eat by myself, and when I do, I don't like it. But, I do, but everything is built around that. I could even tell you that making a difference, you're with people, you're with friends, travel, you're going to see family, you're being with family, fun experiences and adventures are only fun with family and friends. So literally, and miscellaneous, deaths in your family, all those things I talked about, is they're throughout the entire process. But again, I've got it here in the vision so that I know that these are things that I've got to focus on. I include it in my specific goals, making sure that I'm spending the time that I want with my family and friends. Okay, now before we go into the actual detailed goal examples, I'd like to just give you some quick lessons learned. I've tried to give you those as we go through this, but I want to just highlight them. So when I originally put my 2016 high-level plan together, I had told you earlier, I forgot about appearance. I forgot that I was going to have to, pull myself together every morning, take a shower, brush my teeth, all those things at night, and so on and so forth. It takes a lot of time. And I also missed out on travel. I'd say, oh, I'm going to work out today. That's an hour. Okay, so I'll work out 4 hours a week. Well, whoops, you forget that I have to get ready to go work out. I have to get water. I have to get all my gear in place. I have to warm up. I have to travel in the car. So instead of an hour, it's really 2 hours. So I don't want you to forget that when you're putting your time in, because I know for myself, instead of spending 20% on health, fitness, nutrition, and now I added appearance, it's 25%. The other thing is when I started this, I thought, oh, I'll like to travel around 20% of the time. And you know what? I discovered I really don't want to travel that much. So I've knocked that down in 2017 to 15%. And I've literally said no to a couple of trips already this year that I could have said yes to, because I just don't want that hectic pace. Now, you may want to, but I just didn't. And then in 2016, a lot of my stuff got eaten up by miscellaneous, as I talked about earlier. And I want to make sure that miscellaneous for me doesn't take over. So I want to include it, but I don't want it to be something that takes over as well, where I'm puttering around when I really want to be focused on something else or spending my time on something else. So those are some of my lessons learned, and I just wanted to share those with you. Okay, so next up are the actual specific goals. And you can go through these. This is an example. I kind of did it based on mine, but it's not exactly like mine. But the short story is, here is the health, fitness, nutrition, appearance, 25% of my time. So it's a big chunk of hours that we're talking about on average per week. And I have physical fitness, which is 8 hours. I'm not working out 8 hours, but it takes 8 hours of my time, as I talked about earlier. The other thing is mental fitness. Big thing right now is, keeping alert. And I've got some, it's called Luminosity, but I mean, there's a million different programs out there. This is one that was recommended by NIH, that you do brain memory and speed exercises. Brain speed exercises was the big thing that NIH had recommended. And so I do that for an hour a week. I basically do a half hour, 2 times a week, and I put that right into my action plan. And then appointments, standard appointments. Hopefully I don't get sick, but if I do, that's going to be thrown into my miscellaneous category. So next, in that same 25% is the nutrition. Again, simple things like, oh yeah, I still have to go to the grocery store. This is 2 hours is probably lean, but it's close. Food prep, actually making the food. Whoops, you have to remember that takes time. Even if it takes you a few minutes, it's going to take you time. And then actually eating the food takes time. So, some people take longer. I'm a quick eater. And then, just researching, because I do like to cook my own food for the most part. So, again, nutrition and then appearance. We've talked about that enough. Then administrative. So part of, and this is something I want to spend time on, is part of the administrative is keeping up with all of the things like calendar, emails, action lists. I keep my action list up every week. I revise it, modify it so that I'm, focused on what I want to be focused on, and I'm spending my time on what I want to spend my time on. So you'll see that later on. But that, just takes time. And then financial quarterly meetings. So, making sure that, I'm going to my meetings that I have set up semi-annually with my advisor, financial advisor, my CPA as well. Those types of meetings. Bills, what do I spend? I spend about an hour a week on that. Taxes is an annual element. And in administrative, I also put in maintenance, repairs on cars, on houses, all the things we own, whether if you own a boat, there's just the ongoing administrative things that are associated with that. I don't count just having the bug guy come. I don't count, while I'm sitting here because I can be doing other things. But, you have to set up the appointments. You have to, show them around. I mean, there's things you have to do that does take time. So just make sure you include that banking, other one-time miscellaneous things around administrative. Making a difference. And you can see the objectives that I have. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but meaning I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it. But you can see it's a big chunk of my time. It's about 11 hours. If you take that 112 hours per week, it's about 11 hours per week. I would like to spend more time, but it's just, again, I originally had thought I would spend more time, but that's what it ended up being. Then travel, again, you can see I've got our standard vacations, and then I always have one big vacation a year, and then you have other travel for weddings and things like that. Then other fun experiences and adventures. So I want to spend 35% of my time on this, and you can see one of the things that I have had a lot of fun with are these clubs. And whether, there's a golf club that's right by our house that I've joined, and a bike club through the meetups, which I'll show you, which you can look at on the website. There is just a fantastic concept, because you can find anything you want, anything you're interested in. There's a group of people that are also doing the same thing, and it's just a great way to connect with a hobby that you're interested in, or an activity that you're interested in. And then 10% of the times, maintaining and building relationships, going out with friends, visiting on the phone, all those types of things. Just talking on the phone takes time. It really does. And, setting aside that time and making sure that you're connecting with the people that are important to you is something that I put right in my schedule. And my husband, I want to spend time with him, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go through all those details, and then, for me, I had an area which I'm going to call pure, relaxed, chill TV time. I probably spend way too much time doing this. And then when I looked at the numbers from my first year at this, it was way too much time. So I've reduced this, and I would like to reduce it even further, but I really do need time to just chill. So you may be able to go, but I do need time to just chill. And then I call this next one Showtime, because, like I told you, I am very interested in entertainment and that business. So, for example, I'm trying to get on the Antiques Roadshow, and I've signed up for that, and several other things. But again, fun experiences, adventures. I'm seeking them out. Whether I ever get it or not, we'll see. And then classes and things like that. Now, this is going to be different no matter who you are or what you are. It's going to be very different, but definitely a key category for me. And then the miscellaneous, which we've already talked about. And like I said, opportunities to improve versus 2016 for me was less TV, more on making a difference, less travel, more classes, more on my website slash other areas. So that's basically it for the details. And you can get even more detailed if you want. Or you can be as high level as just keeping it here. It whatever works for you. And hopefully this was helpful. And the next thing we're going to look at is the action plans. So now that you've got goals, you've got things that you want to do, what are you going to do every day to make sure that you're hitting these goals, or that you're getting, towards this, achieving these goals you've set out for yourself? So let's take a look at that next. Okay, so now you've created your vision for what you want your retirement to look like. You have your goals, the high-level goals and the detailed goals. Now, with everything, you can have goals, but if you don't have action plans that you break down into what am I going to do today to achieve those goals, it won't get done, or it's going to be severely delayed. So what I do is I sat down, and this is just an example, because again, this is not my complete list in any way, shape, or form, but it's certainly an example of the action list that I complete every week. And what I have here are things that I want to accomplish on an annual basis, semi-annual basis, quarterly basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, and then things I want to do on a daily basis. And then there are one-time list items as well that I've listed here in the document as well. So what do I do with all of this? I've got, because there's certain things that you do annually. And I'm going to say your taxes. You're going to spend time on that. For me, I set up all my appointments with doctors all in 1 week. I do all of them and set them out for the rest of the year. I try to get them all done in 1 quarter. But I make all the appointments in December. And so on and so forth, semi-annual items and so on and so forth. So what do I do with all of this? So every week I develop a new, I just keep this in my documents, and I put the new week in here, and I identify with a marker, a yellow marker, all the things that I need to get done that week and or want to get done that week. So I'll highlight those in yellow. And then I literally sit down and say, okay, what am I going to get done today, Monday? And I sit down and I say, okay, take out a pink marker, and I go, these are the things I want to get done on Monday. So when you see this item here on my daily schedule, action list items, I'll have 3 hours in the morning on Monday to do my action list items. So I'll have them highlighted here in pink, all the things that I want to get done on Monday. So for example, on Monday, I want to reconcile bill issues, weekend activities. I do my email calendar check. For example, even just a calendar check could end up in an activity. For example, this past Monday, I had a golf clinic that was scheduled and on my calendar. Or something may come up in on your email check. Well, I look at this every Monday, these 3 items. And so that may end up on something I'm going to be doing or wanting to be doing on Monday. I bike outside on Monday. Well, if it rains, I can't do that, so I modify and change it accordingly. And then I always select a focus area down here where I want to accomplish one of my objectives. Like for example, here I need to work on my getting a Swiss travel pass for the train, and I'll do that at some point. And it looks like I had scheduled this to occur in May, so I may want to do this in March. Follow the broker, so I may decide to do this on Monday. So I always try to accomplish one of these other key areas as well as my standard activities. And what I do is, like I said, put it in a monthly or a daily schedule. I even put down things like eat, because that takes time. Get ready for the day, go to the golf clinic, do my bike, work on those action lists. So I'm literally going to have about 5 hours on Monday to do my action list items. And you can see I did also one for Tuesday. I'm going to have a little less time because I'm volunteering on Tuesday. And I had to do some administrative banking and post office, etc. So I'm only going to have a short time on Tuesday for my action list items. So again, this helps me get organized, and I hope it will help you. You may decide, you know what, I just don't want to go to that level of detail. But guess what? If it helps you, do it. If not, don't. I find it very helpful, and I hope something in here has helped you to live your best retirement. So that's it for the concept. And from this point forward, there's really only two other things for you to do. Wander around the site and look at some other things that experiences and learnings that I'd like to share with you. For example, on vacation, some of my favorite vacations, the way I plan for trips and to get the best and the most out of any trip that I go on. And then if you don't want to do any of that, at least sit back and share with all of us by going to the Let's Talk tab and share with us what are your best tips on vacations, or keeping us looking good, and so on and so forth. But share that on the Let's Talk tab. So that's it. And again, I hope this helped, and that's it.